Hey, Justice Served TV is on the air, and now we're much bigger. Okay.
Yeah, no,
Hey,
that sounds good. Michael Bryant, we have a lot going on. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing really well.
We're
But
almost
Diddy,
matchy here. It's sort
yeah,
of,
well,
sort of, sort of close.
this
Oh
is a
yeah, you got
Justice
the.
Serve TV, and I actually have you can't see them, but the leggings on to
All
match.
right.
They're from our store. All
All right.
right. Yeah,
Yeah. Check
yeah,
out the store when you get a chance. See if there's anything that fancies your fancy.
yeah, yeah. And we're
So
hoping
the Diddy thing. When is that? When is his actual sentencing
Thursday.
coming up? That's on
Thursday,
Thursday.
supposedly, or Thursday. Anyhow, whatever it is, these were due Thursday, and I
Okay.
just thought they were very interesting. It's his whole team. It's 50 pages.
I think it was 182 pages.
182
Yeah.
pages, right? Plus exhibits, which are it's very good lawyering. It's excellent lawyering. Let's take a look.
Let's lay the foundation for what we're talking
Okay.
about here. Obviously,
Okay,
we
go
know
ahead.
he was convicted 2 counts of violation of the Mann Act because he flew women for his purposes across state lines. That's the Mann Act. I've always criticized that under the circumstances because it's basically like saying I'm flying in a prostitute. Therefore, I've violated the Mann Act. Never what the Mann Act was intended to prevent. It was intended to prevent slavery, and then even that was manipulated to prevent underaged women or men, boys, from being trafficked. Okay, so this is a totally different situation. This is a consenting adult taking the money, doing the work. It's a sex worker. So that aside, under the strict guidelines of the law as it stands, he was convicted. And so now the question is he going to be, he can be sentenced up to 20 years. That each is good for 10. And if you stack those, that's 20 years.
Right.
I think most people suggest he's going to get something.
And the
But this
defense is
whole,
suggesting 14 months, but basically time served. That's basically what this is.
of course. And I think, my speculation early on was 7 years. So minus time served, he's still going to do 5-ish with the 85% rule in federal court or federal system. Who knows? But this document that we're talking about was designed to, it's the get out of jail free card if the court buys it all. And it is exhaustive, almost overkill to me, but I get it,
And the attachments too, which we'll just briefly touch upon, which they went through every single case where somebody's been sentenced under the Mann Act. I mean, the attachments are incredible, all right, and the guidelines. So if you're interested in the federal system and you really want to learn the law of this, go to the system, go to the courts. They're there. But we're going to talk briefly about what the brief is, right? And that is, you see the sentencing memorandum on behalf of Sean Combs by all of his attorneys, and that's what you do these days, all of his attorneys, right? And look at this, his history and his characteristics, some things I didn't know about. And these are things that I've heard on the street in New York from people that I work with. Mr. Combs' drug use history, medical history, and medical diagnosis, both before and during incarceration, are important to understanding Mr. Combs' life and past anger management issues. I mean, everyone was talking about how all his victims were drug addicts, but apparently he was a massive drug addict.
I'm not sure he's not still. I mean, I guess technically you're once an addict, always an addict, but I'm not sure he's a recovering addict at this point from everything he's been taking.
Right. And this is September is Addiction Month. We're going to be talking about that in one of our shorts next week. But it'd be interesting if they bring that up here. And look at this. Mr. Combs, male escorts and entertainers were fully consenting, empowered adults who traveled and participated on their own accord. That's what you're saying. What is the difference between hiring a sex worker is what the question I keep getting asked for a movie, right? A pornographic movie, and somebody come in and they perform sex acts. And I always say,
sex workers.
I always say, well, they're made up, they're simulated, and people go, me,
well,
are you stupid, Linda?
Some are.
Yeah. So, and then the high, going back, I'm sorry, I hit the slides. The drug and the high-profile celebrity obviously played a role. All right. And then this is what we're talking about, that everybody involved in this case has drugs. Well, does that mitigate the sentence here?
Well, because we're all doing it? No, it should be totally irrelevant.
Yeah.
But, they're making the arguments, and I get that. And I always love creativity. I even notice on part, they cite the White Slave Traffic Act, which is actually, that was in 1910. And that was the first reference to the Mann Act. That's what it was for. Right. So I get that. And I totally agree with the defense in terms of the application of the Mann Act. But under the strict terms of the law, he's violated it, and he's been found convicted and found guilty of that. So it's two different tracks here, and the court really gets a chance to split the baby. Really, the court could hold the defendant, now convicted to the highest level of his actions and smack him with even 10 concurrent would be, I think, a heavy hand. Or he could look at it and say, as you've suggested, if I've suggested, these are sex workers. Okay, these other issues for which he was acquitted can't bleed into this, and I think the court is looking to bleed into it.
I agree, and that's why we see this one. The guidelines range should be 6 to 12 months, and acquitted conduct must not be used in any way, because as we know, let me go back to that. As we know, judges in federal court are allowed to use not guilties in terms of discussing the sentencing under the guidelines. And what the attorneys have like preempted that here and say, you cannot do that because then you're going to have Sixth Amendment, Fifth Amendment constitutional violations and unfairness. But courts have ruled on that and said no.
Yeah. No, I get it. And I think the judge has got a lot of power in this sentencing, far more than we see in a lot of cases, in part because it is this kind of Jello-like Mann Act that isn't applied in and of itself very often. Usually it's part of some other bigger package. And if the defendant is found guilty of some of the larger crimes, then the Mann Act kind of goes away or is absorbed into whatever the sentence is for the larger crimes. That's not the case here.
Yeah, but the jury did, as they point out correctly, reject any notion of force or coercion or fraud. So that's kind of interesting. So talk to me about that.
Well, I mean, again, they're hoping, the defense is hoping the judge will not. Remember, when they asked for bail, how many times? 3 times, I think they asked for bail.
Right. The
judge Every time, the judge slapped them down by saying, look, this guy has domestic violence issues in his past. And the court used that history to deny bail.
Right, so and now the defense is saying you can't do that. You can't go for the final sentence.
I'm telling you, if you don't think the judge is going to use that, whether he says it or not, I think you're crazy. What he'll do, I think, is not say, because the discretion is all his. When he picks a number, he doesn't have to say it's because of A, B, C, and D. He will, but I don't think he's going to include anything that could come back to bite him, which is reliance on some of these other acts for which the defendant was acquitted. I think that would cause the court problems. So I'm looking forward to how the language is crafted. However he gets to whatever the number is, it's going to be very interesting.
Yeah. And then let me just show you quickly what the defense did in terms of adding. They went through all the different cases, right? And then talked about what the sentences were based on the facts. And they did a comprehensive exhibit here. That goes to show you what good lawyering is. 5 pages to show that some people got probation.
That's good law clerking. Come on, let's be honest here. Or it's good associate lawyering. That's the get in the back room. Well, in this case, now we use computers. But you've done it back in the day. You spend 8-10 hours in the law library. And you're poring over. Well, they're doing the same thing now, but electronically. But those are the folks, the unsung heroes in a situation like this.
And then Exhibit 68, cases in which the defendant was convicted solely of 18 U.S.C. 242A2. The base offense level was calculated under the guidelines. These are sentencing guidelines and criminal history category 1, and the defendant did not receive a downward departure. So then they go through all these cases to suggest that there's 16 months, 6 months, 10 months, 21 months. You see that these all cases are suggested that under maybe the Mann Act, this is what he should be getting, Diddy should be getting. So again, this is another exhaustive side.
From reading them too tightly, I'm sorry, I can't tell. Are these within the jurisdiction? Are they controlling? Are they persuasive? Where do they stand?
Yeah, well, they're all over. They're all over the federal court.
So for folks who have followed this kind of stuff, the courts have certain rules they've got to follow that are, if it's in the same district, it is going to be looked upon as more controlling. Everything else is going to be persuasive. But they got a lot of persuasion here.
Yeah, and then here they've done us this. We did that. We did this. This is the guideline. This is the and then all the different things. I mean, it's just amazing to me what they've done, and they've cited in their exhibits all over the United States as to court. So that brings up a constitutional issue: is if P. Diddy Combs gets sentenced to something differently, is he being sentenced because of his celebrity, or is he being sentenced because, hey, under my discretion, I'm going to use this? But does that discretion include the fact that the celebrity has bled into it? And I think that's where all these are going.
Yeah, and again, to the point I made earlier, we're not going to really know. The court is not going to be that open about how it gets from A to Z. And so the speculation will be rampant. Do you have, I don't know how much of this you have there, because I want to look at just page I think it was 64, where they talk about the drug use. Do you have that one?
Yeah, hold on a second. I do that because that's in the main document. I just got to go
Yes, it
back and
is.
find the main document.
I'm just confirming it's page
Yeah,
64.
hold on.
I just think it's an interesting couple of paragraphs that really shed light on his situation.
I have to go back to the Diddy sentencing memo, which
Sorry,
is
I'm audibleizing here. I'm calling it audible.
let's see. That's the sentence. Excuse me, Michael. As you know, this is, yeah, I know you're so proud of me because I loaded
I
exhibits, I
know. Look at
loaded
that. Like a big
PDFs,
girl.
like a big girl. And I think what I'm going to do is reload that one from my computer. It's just easier to do it, to upload the file from my computer. And I'm going to do that right now.
I think maybe I was dyslexic and maybe it was 46, but
hold on a second. Upload file. We're going to go back to the sentencing memo. Okay, and we're going to add it to the stage. It's processing again. Here's the problem.
Oh, there it is. There it is. Let me bring this up if you don't mind, because I've got it here on my desktop. And again, it's the same exact motion, but it hits some of those high points with regard to the drug addiction.
And it's very interesting because that's what people I talk to are supportive of Diddy says that, hey, you're talking about all the drug addiction of everybody that he was involved with. How about his drug addiction? And I know that people don't, if there's a crime, you don't take that into account. But in this day and age of this month being the addiction month, should it be taken into account? I mean, this is, I think you found the most interesting thing. Now mine is still processing. I can add mine.
Yeah, take yours off the page. I'll bring mine on. It won't let me. We can't fight on it. It has to be one of us or the other. So if you drop yours down, I'll bring this one up.
We're going to remove that. I'm going to remove that.
There we go. And this is page 46. Sub I. Mr. Combs' behavior has markedly improved. And this is remember, this is the defense. This is the defense trying to help him, but they're honest. Though Mr. Combs stopped using opiates by the time of his arrest, he was still abusing other illegal substances. In the Park Hyatt Hotel at his arrest, HSI students recovered a pink powdered substance that tested positive for MDMA and ketamine. I didn't know that was pink.
I didn't know that, right? I didn't realize that was pink, yeah.
When Mr. Combs was remanded to MDC, Manhattan Department of Corrections, what is that department? What is that? MDC. That's where he is in jail, but I can't remember what the
Metropolitan.
Metropolitan. Thank you. He tested positive for something. Psychology records referenced there, as disclosed in the BOP upon his incarceration. He was honest that he blank to alleviate Mr. Combs' withdrawal symptoms related to his discontinuing blank. And then it continues. The psychology department at MDC has assisted with Mr. Combs' addiction recovery since his first week in incarceration, providing him with a workbook, homework on substance use called My Recovery Song. With the help of the medical unit, he has resisted the urge to use, I like this, even though contraband drugs are readily available in the MDC.
That's the best part, right? I mean, we're talking about this, what happens in now, this is a jail, okay? This is pre-prison. But we all know this happens in jails too.
Of course.
And prisons and jails also. And in some places, there have been places where guards have been the suppliers.
Yeah, yeah. It's a whole different world.
Yeah.
Not that I've been there, not that I ever planned to be there, but from the research
I have to visit. I've had to visit people.
I've interviewed some killers, but that's enough for me.
And let me tell you, when that door slides behind you and you are like standing there before the new door starts and you have nothing, it's like, let me out of here.
That sound is ominous. In fact, speaking of that, as we wrap this up, we've been looking at, and we're going to continue to look at some Donna Adelson video, and those sounds are chilling as we go with her in and out of the complex. And sometimes they redact the video, but they leave the audio.
Right.
And you just hear that, and you hear the cuffs being clicked on. It's fascinating.
Amazing that our Donna Adelson video, our show on that will be running Thursday night, and Diddy's sentencing has to do with Thursday. That's why the sentencing memo. So we'll see what comes up before Thursday.
Yeah, I think it's an amazing effort, and we'll see how. I just think when everybody listens to that judge, keep in mind everything we've heard him say before about his concern about the things for which he was acquitted.
Right, and not charged, and that would be the Cassie assault that we've all seen, that horrible,
which was beyond the statute, so they couldn't do anything with it. But the judge apparently is factoring that in, right or wrong.
I think that's going to happen.
Okay. All right. Well, stay with us here at Justice Served TV. This case gets to a very interesting climax very soon.
Yeah.